said in a face-to-face meeting with a member of the President's staff that when you brought up the fact that you were going in to see General Kunsa and that he indeed had been shipping and is shipping 1,200 tons of heroin every year into the United States of America, and we had an opportunity to make a deal, we turned it down. Is that right?
That's exactly it, Ward. It was most disturbing to me because we didn't go to see Kunsa about drugs. We went in cooperation with the White House. Tom Harvey, a would-be Ollie North lookalike, was the NSC staffer that asked us to go. It was to find prisoners of war that reportedly Kunsa was holding. When we got there, we found out that he had no prisoners, but we couldn't leave without asking him why he insisted on shipping this poison into the world. And Kunsa said that the U.S. had been his best customer for more than 20 years. Well, I didn't believe it. This was December of 1986. He said that he was willing to stop 900 tons in 1987, and then he said, I will disclose every U.S. government official that I have dealt with in the last 20 years. We brought those videotapes back and gave them to the White House. And 4 days later, we got that response. Tom Harvey called and said, "Bo, it's fantastic. You guys are the first Americans ever to go in and come out alive." And I said, "Tom, what about the deal to stop 900 tons? That's fantastic." And he said, "Bo, there's no interest here in doing that."
I don't understand this, Colonel. Right? Here's what I don't understand. Why would this general volunteer to stop sending 900 tons of heroin? I'd say he must be making a hell of a lot of money from it.
Kunsa has 8 million Shan people in an area about 1/3 the landmass of Burma that he's taking care of. The only crop that he is allowed to grow is poppies refined into opium, morphine, and heroin. He wants to legitimize the economy of that Shan land so he can become a true nation state. And he knows he can't do it if they're dependent on drugs.
What was his deal that he offered?
He offered a deal to stop every ounce of heroin, 900 tons last year, 1,200 tons this year, and divulge U.S. government officials if Reagan would agree to give him a trade mission to the free world where he can start using some of the resources they have there to make other money. If we would send over Peace Corps operators, if we would do just a number of little things to get him economically off of dope and onto a legitimate economy. Seemed to me like a good deal.
So here's the thing that I think is important.
Well, we also offered to give this last March 15th 1 ton of refined heroin to Vice President Bush as a show of his good faith. And you know what the State Department said?
Well, I would imagine they'd say that right about now Bush could use it. Colonel, were you ever able to ascertain any of the names of the officials?
You betcha. And what happened is I've got a letter here that Kunsa wrote to the Justice Department on the 28th of June, 1987. And if I can read just 2 sentences real quick. It says, during the period 1965 to 75, CIA Chief in Laos, Theodore Shackley, was in the drug business. Sandro Travacante acted as his buy and transporting agent, while Richard Armitage handled the financial section with the banks in Australia. And he goes on. Now, Armitage, as we speak, is the Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs under Carlucci, who was a Deputy Director of CIA, and of course Bush was Director of CIA.
Are we going to make American as cocaine, and cocaine as American apple pie is, my friends? You're going to find out next. The Colonel remain with us. We're going to dig deep.
We all know where we were. If you're over 40, you remember where you were and what you were doing when you heard the news. There are moments in life when time freezes, when the clock stops. For my generation, this was that moment. 30 years later, shocked by JFK's assassination, then horrified and numb by the tragic deaths of Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King, we somehow became hardened to it all. Somewhere between Dallas and Vietnam and Watergate and Iran-Contra and whatever that Clinton thing was. Conspiracies became easier to believe in than our own government, but still, there were the questions.
When did the good American Christians say it was okay for our American government to start dealing in drugs?
Were the questions. Welcome to Midnight in America. My name is Daniel Hopsicker, and I will be your host on a journey into the life and times of one of the most famous CIA agents that ever lived, a man by the name of Adler Ferriman Barry Seal. We're standing on the steps of the federal courthouse in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that were walked up and down by Barry Seal many times in the course of his illustrious career. And we're going to take a look at Barry's life, and we're going to ask a simple question. Could the scandals of the 1960s and 1970s be somehow related to the cocaine epidemic that swept America during the 1980s? An epidemic fueled in no small part by the billions of dollars worth of cocaine brought into this country by the most successful drug smuggler in American history, Barry Seal? Let's take a look. So who was Barry Seal and why is he so important? Barry Seal was the most successful drug smuggler in American history, and the cause of the Mina drug scandal, where he flew in, by the government's own estimates, over $5 billion worth of cocaine from 1981 to 1986 to fuel the go-go 80s, and to fund the Contra War when the U.S. Congress would not. He is the root cause of what is today called the Clinton scandals. So, was Barry Seal, called the Ghost, haunting the Whitewater probe, just an extraordinarily zealous entrepreneur operating all by himself?